social media is making you feel miserable about your life. I know we've all been through these phases where our parents used to tell us, well, you're depressed, you're sad because of your phone. And we rolled our eyes and was like, yeah, sure, whatever, and thought that there was absolutely no relationship between our sadness, depression, loneliness, and our phone. But now that I'm older, I'm realizing that there might be a connection. It's not entirely the fault or the cause of your phone, but it definitely plays a role. Social media impacts your mental health, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, because sometimes we might be in denial as well, because we just want to continue the doom scroll. If ever you want to break your addiction with social media, check out this video right here where I tell you tons of tips on how to break up with your phone. But for now, let's stick with today's topic on why social media is making you feel miserable. The biggest reason why you feel depressed when scrolling on social media, it's because you compare yourself to everybody you see. And I believe this is human nature, right? Whether we want to admit it or not, we judge someone by how they look, how they appear. And we compare ourselves based on what we see, whether that be for good or for bad, right? We can compare ourselves in a good way of, I really like this quality from this person. I really like how this person does that thing. And this motivates us, pushes us to ask advice to that person so we can become better. But on the flip side, we can also compare ourselves in a negative form. And I believe this is what happens on social media, because we see all these aesthetic, extravagant video on social media and we think to ourselves, wow, I wish that would be me. I love their house, I love their new car, their shopping hauls, their this, their that. And we compare of, because they have it, I need to have it too. And it makes you feel bad about your life, when in fact, you shouldn't be. You should be grateful for what you already have. But because video after video after video, you see all of this, your brain has now the idea ingrained that this is normal. We've taken novelty and expensive things and materialistic things and made it seem as if this was the norm. And this is where lies the problem. There's no problem with being rich. There's no problem with having all these things. But when we think that this is the norm, every single person on this earth should have that, that's where you compare yourself and you feel bad. You see people having a better spouse, having better kids, having a bigger home, having a newer car. When you see all these things and you don't have it, you'll feel like, oh, well, I want that. I am missing something from my life, even though you might not really be missing anything. We all know some successful people, but it's definitely not the same as social media. And we have access to these people in our circle. We can ask advice. We can ask how they did it. And most often than not, they don't promote this idea of influencing or being an influencer in real life. Social media is used to portray their highlights, not their everyday life. You don't see the mess behind the scenes. You don't see how their kids actually act when the camera is off. You don't see their bank account. You don't see how they budget. You don't see any of those aspects because they don't want to share it, because it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And it's easy to get fooled when we go and scroll on their feed and everything is picture perfect. But this is all a lie. Doesn't mean that those moments aren't real, but the overall picture that they paint about themselves is not real. We have small slivers of their life, small slivers of the truth. But can we really even say that that is the truth? Because without the whole context, without the whole story, that's not really the truth. Now, I do want to note that a lot more influencers and a lot more people that do create content do share more relatable experiences. But the problem still lies that when they get famous, when they have that money, when they have that car, when they have this, then you often see some people drift away from what originally they truly stood for in the beginning. Some are doing social media as a business or a side hustle or even just a hobby, and that's perfectly fine. However, it's getting harder and harder to distinguish between what's a side hustle, what's a business, right? Because you see those ASMR, you see those influencers that make commission on links that you buy from. And it's very hard to distinguish sometimes what is a business and what is just content. So I'm gonna be hopefully making a video on this soon, so stay tuned and like and subscribe if you wanna be notified. So basically, you're comparing yourself to someone's job, and this fosters a sense of lack, a sense of, I wish I had more, and you don't even know about it, that it is someone's job. That's just mind-blowing to me. Another aspect why social media is making you feel depressed, upset, and lonely is the information overload. You don't understand the amount of information we are now exposed to. Before, if people wanted information, they needed to walk in town, spend money on a newspaper, and read it. It didn't take just 1 second, one Google search, just scrolling 2 minutes on your feed to get bombarded with so much information. Too much information can overwhelm your mind and make it difficult to retain information and also to concentrate on anything. This overload can lead to stress, anxiety, and decision fatigue because you don't know what's important, what's not important, and your brain, your mind can only contain a certain amount. And it doesn't know what's important, what it should retain, or what it shouldn't. So while social media can be a great resource, it can also be detrimental to your mental health because it's just so overwhelming. This is why I thrive to live my life in balance. I don't want to delete social media, but I also don't want to be addicted and don't want it to negatively impact me. Another big reason less talked about is that social media takes you away from reality. Now, of course, they say that we are the most connected we've ever been, but I beg to differ. I think we are lonelier than ever. I think we have less interaction than ever. And really, I feel like we are the most disconnected we've ever been. Yes, I can talk to someone in Japan. Yes, I can talk to someone in Spain. However, that doesn't make me more humanly connected because there's a difference between being able to reach out to someone and actually having a great connection with a friend, with a family member, or with a coworker. We don't know how to act with other humans anymore. We become anxious and afraid if we need to stand alone and wait for someone, or if we don't have our phone to scroll on. We feel like everybody's judging us. We feel like everybody's looking at us. And I know this is not only me. I know many of you also feel the same way. I know it's hard to admit to ourselves. I know it's embarrassing to admit, but it is the truth. And why is that? It's because social media became like our best friend. Even though it's not working with us, it's working against us. When we always rely on our phone, this means that we're not able to sit with the uncomfortable. We don't develop those skills. So if you are struggling with social media, if it's making you feel depressed, if it's making you dislike your life, if it's making you feel miserable, know that you are not alone. A lot of other people are feeling the same way, and I personally used to feel the same way when I was addicted to my phone. I couldn't go anywhere without my phone. I had a moment to spare, I would scroll. It's only when I realized and I shifted my mindset. At first, it was difficult to get out of that routine, out of that thought pattern. But once you make the switch, you'll feel so much better. I'm not saying it will cure your depression if you are facing depression, but I'm saying that scrolling on social media will definitely not help your situation. Thank you so much for watching my video, and make sure to like and subscribe so you are notified of my next video that will help you thrive and flourish in every aspect of your life. Stay tuned.